If you are sick and tired of being broke, then you should finish watching this video because by the end, you will discover how to get rich. These are things that I discovered on my own a few years ago when I was broke and when I was living paycheck to paycheck at my shitty 9 to 5 job. But after I made a few small adjustments in my life, I started making millions of dollars every year. I know that this is possible for you because this does not cost any money and it does not take up any of your time. Now, in this previous YouTube video, I told you to start a side hustle and to start your own online business so you can generate some passive income on top of the income that you may already have at your 9 to 5 job. But this video is different. This is about self-discovery. And I promise you, when you discover this for yourself, you will start seeing more money in your life. Now, before we jump into that, I need to take you back to my childhood because I want you to see my perspective and outlook on life back then before I got to where I am at today. Growing up, I did not have a lot of money. My dad worked 2 full-time jobs, Monday to Sunday, for over 16 hours every day. So growing up, I did not spend a lot of time with my dad. My mom worked from home and she was trying to balance her job and being a stay-at-home mom all at the same time. I saw how challenging that was. I remember eating breakfast and I would be eating things like instant noodles, sugary donuts, or pizza pops. And I think this was because it was hard for them to afford healthy food. You probably know that if you were to go to the grocery store, if you were to buy something that is organic or healthy, it costs much more than buying food that is unhealthy. But I knew that they tried their best to put food on the table when I was growing up. We lived in a decent sized home and I remember my dad was driving a beat up Toyota Corolla. I will never forget that car because it was so beat up to a point where I remember sitting in that car and it was making all sorts of noises. It was like, okay, it's time we upgrade this car. But obviously they did not have the luxury to upgrade the car because they were paying bills like our mortgage, the car payment, food, clothing, and all the necessities. I started to notice that other kids at school were in a similar situation. Their parents would drop them off at school early in the morning. And then at the end of the day, when the school day was over, it was usually a grandparent picking up the kids because I assumed that their parents were too busy and they were still at work. Nobody had a fancy car. None of the kids wore fancy clothes. And during lunchtime, it was a similar situation. We were all eating unhealthy food. I remember eating pizza pops with Sunny Delight. Some kids did not even have any food, and that was really sad. So through that experience at a young age, I told myself I don't have money. This is how my life is going to be. And I fully accepted that I am not rich. Fast forward to my late teens and early 20s, this was when I became observant. I was going out and meeting different types of people. And I noticed that some people were extremely wealthy. They had multi-million-dollar homes. They had a yacht. They were driving $500,000 vehicles. And I thought, how is this possible? Because when I was growing up, it was hard to even have food on the table. So how are people getting rich? It did not make sense to me because during that time, I was also looking for a job. I was becoming an adult and obviously my parents told me, okay, it's time for you to go look for a job so you can support yourself. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up looking at jobs and I noticed that when I was doing the math, nothing added up. I thought, okay, it doesn't matter if I become a nurse. It didn't matter if I was an engineer. It didn't matter if I became a doctor. It is impossible to be able to afford all these luxurious things that other people had. So how were they able to do it? This was something I questioned all the time. So I ended up working at different office jobs for 10 years. I noticed every 1 to 2 years, I ended up at a different office because I would get laid off or I would get fired. And during that time, I had my own bills to pay. I had my own mortgage. I had my own car payment. I had to put food on the table myself because, again, I was an adult. I am no longer a child, so my parents were not feeding me. And I just remembered meeting people who were wealthy. And I kept wondering about the same thing. How are people able to get rich? How did they end up with so much money? How are they able to become financially free? None of this made sense. So one day I got laid off from my 9 to 5 job. Again, I think this was probably the 5th time now. And I thought to myself, okay, you know what? I don't want to go back to another job because I know if I were to do that over and over again, I would stay poor. I've tried this for 10 years, and after every paycheck, I was always left with little to nothing. The first online business that helped me make my first $1 million online was my Amazon FBA business. I sold my own private label products on the world's largest online marketplace, Amazon. I made multiple 7 figures by doing that, sold that business, and exited. The second online business that brought me major success was my online education business. I had a ton of knowledge about starting successful Amazon FBA businesses, so I took all my knowledge and I turned my knowledge into a digital product. People were paying me millions of dollars to teach them how to make money online. To this day, I made over $13 million by selling my knowledge online through digital products. If you are someone that wants a simple and faster way to make money online, then you should be selling your knowledge and digitally cloning yourself into a digital product. I have a free training that will guide you step by step how I was able to sell my knowledge in a digital product and make millions of dollars online by doing it. If you want this training, then all you need to do is click on the link that you see in the YouTube description below. Enter your name and enter your email address to get access to this training. By the end of the training, you can book a free one-on-one consultation with my team, and we will show you how to digitally clone yourself into a digital product so you can make money online. Okay, so how did I go from getting laid off, getting fired, being broke, and living paycheck to paycheck to generating millions of dollars every year? Today, I have over $10 million in real estate. I've bought my dream cars. I am financially free, and I can take a vacation whenever I want. Most importantly, my children never have to worry about money like how I used to worry about money when I was growing up. What did I discover during this moment of transition? This is the self-discovery. So after when I started looking at all these successful entrepreneurs online, I started to dissect them. I started to pay close attention to what they were doing. I was paying attention to how they were thinking. And it all came down to their identity. I noticed that when I was poor, I was doing nothing to make myself rich. All of my daily activities, all of my daily habits, and every move that I was making every day did not help me to become rich. When I was studying people who were wealthy, they operated differently. They made different decisions to become rich. And that's when I realized that getting rich is a decision that you have to make. And those decisions are tied to your identity. So what I am trying to tell you is that if you want to become rich, you need to decide to become rich. When you decide that, hey, I am going to become rich, you will subconsciously start doing things and making different decisions that will lead you to getting rich. For example, you will never see a rich person work a normal 9 to 5 job. And if that is the case, and if what they are doing is becoming entrepreneurs and building successful businesses, why are you not trying to do that? Why is it that you are stuck working at a job? Now you may think, Tamara, I have bills to pay. I have a family to feed. I cannot just leave my job. And hey, I completely understand that. Like I said, I got fired and I was laid off multiple times, but somehow I was still able to make it work. And this all comes down to your priorities and your decisions. Most importantly, it comes down to your identity. So if you want to become rich, you need to start thinking like a rich person and start doing what rich people do. So if you do have that 9 to 5 job that you cannot get out of because you have bills to pay, you still need to make it a priority to become an entrepreneur and a business owner. So after I decided to change up my daily activities and my daily habits, that was when I started making so much more money. My identity started to change. I was no longer that person who would go partying every single weekend. I was no longer that person who would stay up until 2 a.m. to watch silly Netflix videos. I was no longer that person who would mindlessly make friends with people that don't share anything in common with me because all they did was gossip. They were talking about useless things that I don't give a crap about. When I started making changes and I started copying what wealthy people were doing, that was when I saw huge success. Everything that I do in my day-to-day life today has meaning behind it and it has purpose. If what I am doing does not make me money and it does not help me grow as a person, then I am simply not going to do it. I don't waste my time doing mindless activities. I don't waste my time gossiping. I don't waste my time trying to go to the next biggest events or the biggest parties because none of that shit helps me grow. If you want to see more money in your life, then you need to make better decisions that would lead to changing your identity. That is the only way. For example, if you are someone trying to lose 10 pounds, then you need to become someone that can lose 10 pounds. You need to become someone that loves to eat healthy. You need to become someone that loves going to the gym. You need to become someone that is disciplined enough to not just stuff your face with a lot of donuts. You need to change your identity to lose 10 pounds. The same goes for making money. You cannot make a lot of money and you cannot become rich if you are constantly doing mindless activities, if you are constantly partying and drinking and doing drugs. None of that stuff will help you to become rich. If you are stuck at your 9 to 5 job and you don't go out there to try something else and to make a change, you will not become rich. You need to make better decisions that will lead to changing your identity. A lot of people stay broke and they will never become rich because they haven't discovered this for themselves. For example, let's pretend you work a normal 9 to 5 job. Your daily routine probably looks something like this. Monday to Friday, your alarm goes off, you get ready, you go to work, you come back home, you eat, you sleep, and the next day repeats itself. And on the weekend, you are probably spending your time watching Netflix, going out and doing mindless activities. And you may catch up with some friends, or maybe you will go to a party. That routine is the same every single day. So how is it possible that you can become rich if your routine is exactly the same every day? This is when people look at others who have money and they think, oh, that person got lucky, or oh, that person won the lottery, or oh, they must have rich parents. No, my friends. I mean, I'm sure some people have rich parents, but the point I am trying to make is if you have the same old routine every day, Monday to Sunday, then how do you expect to get rich? You are not doing anything different. So if you are sick and tired of being broke and you are not seeing yourself getting rich, it is probably because you haven't made any changes in your life and you are not doing things that rich people do.